standpoint, what we're concerned with is the vapor of CO2. So it's CO2 in gas form.
All right, thank you.
I have one more question, and this is an opinion question on. So that you're an expert here today on the model and the CFD model and the gas model.
Correct.
In your opinion, if I was a company building a hazardous pipeline, the CFD model is going to, you said, be really more accurate, maybe have more of a distance. Why would I want to hire you if it had more distance? Just because of the accuracy, or?
Because if you under-predict how far a pollution
and then on top of that, keeping that private and not sharing it with counties could be done for the reason that they don't want the truth out about how bad this really is.
check this argumentative. I don't know if I can answer. I can't put
Hey, I'm gonna sustain that objection.
In terms of modeling, I never asked you to do a model, did I?
You did not.
And today was the first time that I learned it could be done. Well, did we ever talk that it could be done for as little as a couple $1,000s?
No.
Okay. And you understand that we have no burden to prove anything in this proceeding?
I'm going to stick with the science. I know the science. I
Okay.
don't know who has burdens. I'm sorry.
No, that's a fair answer. To some of your responses of, potentially, I think it was to Commissioner Nelson's question, that you don't have to do modeling, like you said in your report, on every single milepost. You pick the most likely sensitive areas or dangerous areas closest to residents, closest to existing structures, would you agree that would also be wise, for instance, if we know where a community is likely growing and we know where it's headed, to use the data, even though there may not be an existing structure in that growth area now, but to use the data to assist us where we shouldn't put a pipeline based on future growth?
On the one hand, this gets to development issues that I'm not an expert on, but I would say this. The CFD modeling is more accurate, and if I knew that someone could move into an area that would be affected, that would cause me concern. Even if they didn't live here now, but I knew someone was going to move in to that area in a year or 2 years' time, that would cause me concern. But I don't know much about what other factors go into development.
So would you agree that an input or a variable to be considered if we were using CFD or frankly any modeling is not just necessarily the current existing structures, but if we wanted to find the most intelligent route, we could take into account, for instance, master plans of communities or future growth plans of the community?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd agree with you. Let me put it this way. If I knew that a pipeline was in a certain area, that would affect my choice to move into an area that could be subject to a rupture. That's my personal opinion, and I would imagine other people feel the same way, but I can't get into people's heads.
All right. Thank you, sir, for your time. I appreciate it. Nothing further.
Navigator recross.
Thank you. Dr. Abraham, you testified about a couple of studies that you said showed significant errors in fast modeling. Do you know when those studies were done? Can you cite me to the years, please?
Yes, one was done in 2012. And I believe the other was done in 1999, I believe. But I can confirm when I'm back to all my files.
And are you familiar with an experiment that DNV conducted in 2015 regarding a real-world application of its modeling?
If it's not in my report as materials relied upon, then I'm not aware of it.
Okay, thank you. We received some discovery responses in this case indicating that you had charged about $12,000 for the work that you've done so far in this case. Does that sound right?
Yes, I charged $12,000 to spin up on the technology, and I think that was through May, and then I have not charged since, and I'm not charging today.
All right. And despite that charge, you have not done any modeling, even though you could do that on your desktop computer with free software, correct?
Well, actually, I don't have the free software. I use commercially available software. But yes, I have not done the modeling with free software.
And if I understood your answer to a question from Commissioner Fegan correctly, you think that rather than engaging DMV to do the modeling that was done, it would have been better to hire someone at the University of South Dakota and involve students in a research project. Is that your testimony?
My testimony is that if I were the company making, if I were the pipeline company, and if I wanted to have someone carry out these type of calculations, I have numerous experts at universities around the country, including in South Dakota, that should be able to do these calculations. And involving local professors and students is a win-win.
Thank you.
Further recross Mr. Taylor, Ms. Bailey. Counties, staff.
Thank you. So if I understood your testimony right, you believe a model should be run near every residence?
No. I believe a model should be run in areas that are critical. I mean, so for example, let's say a pipeline passes 100 feet from one house and then 500 feet from another house. I would model the closest approximation. I'd model the closest proximity between a pipeline and a house. You wouldn't want to model every residence. You'd want to model some of the closest locations.
So you wouldn't need to model then every mile that has residences within 500 feet?
You would not necessarily need to do that. I mean, if you've done it, let's say that I've done 10 calculations that showed the wind conditions that could carry a plume 500 feet. I now have that information. And if there is a rupture at another house that I didn't model, but it's within 500 feet, I would now know whether that house was at risk. You don't need to model every house, every situation.
So you could impute that then to the whole pipeline, it wouldn't matter geographically as long as it was the same distance?
And the geographical features were similar, that would matter as well.
Sure. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Jordy, any final redirect before the witness steps down?
I think we've got it figured out, nothing further, thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony today.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Where we will pick back up, I believe, is with Mr. Lee on the witness stand, but I do ask, what do we want to do for today's itinerary, being as we have not had a lunch break?
And Mr. Gehrig, if I might,
Yeah.
I appreciate the effort to proceed expeditiously and efficiently, but I really think it's unfair to my witness to put him on the stand without having anything to eat. And I would really appreciate a lunch break.
Okay,
Agreed.
if it's okay with my commissioners, I'm gonna go ahead and announce, let's reconvene at 3:45. Does that work, or? Yep, 3:45.
I don't need the breakfast ever.
I won't say the bananas. No, I don't think so.
Oh no, trust me, I'm not gonna have an angry mother. Navigator people after me. Okay, well, I mean,
Not yet, especially with the screwy schedule, but
oh, you called him?
I'll put it out, James. I'll do my best.
Okay, I'll let them know.
And it all depends on, who's on the stand. Yeah, but I think we have to finish that. So I don't want to say 7 o'clock. Finish with the witness or
I got no further update, James. It's looking like 7 will probably get because of the tear down. So, sorry.
Nope, that's all right. I'm never. Right, no, let me rephrase, that will work for them, and that's what I'm gonna have to do.
That's N47A, right?
You need to, I don't think I'm coming on, you at some point in time, this weekend, you know, maybe just talk about what your expectations are. And
that make sense? You know, I know. So my understanding is, okay, are you be coming back next week?
As I was telling you,
We'll just text or whatever, stay in touch.
And then we go through. Okay. All right. That'd be good. And then I don't know. And then one thing I asked you for me, did you use the no, I mean, and have a planning any contacts, and they would just be like, yes, I spoke with firms, and they have no idea. And you don't have. I mean, the substitutions, we actually substitute. Right, and I just.
These are printed exhibits for the witness or what?
Right. Well, either that or it's going to have one other personality, just like testimony.
The only thing that I don't have is that
I would look at it. Yes. Yes. Okay.
we didn't file it, we file it, I see all the time. We just filed it, we got yours last night. What we don't have is we don't have an electronic that on this machine, we could secure all that. You have to download all that when you're in the office. So if we can have, if the witness needs to refer to 47, he or she's going to be, yeah.
I'm actually listening.
Gary?
I mean, I'm not unfriendly to the media, it's just that
No, I can.
they're doing a lot of, even if they can set that.
Yeah, we will. I'm gonna kind of emerge these.